My husband came home early and said I was fired. Then I found the emails, fake accounts, and the threat left on his coworker's car. He begged me to stay. I filed for divorce and said, "You lost me too." It was just before noon on a Friday when I heard Aaron unlock the front door. I was working at the dining table and assumed he had forgotten something. He sometimes came home during lunch, but he always texted first. That day, he walked inside without saying a word. He was still wearing the clothes he had left in that morning. His work bag hung from one hand, and his face looked pale. "You're home early," I said. Aaron placed his bag beside the stairs. "I got fired." I stared at him, waiting for him to smile or explain that it was some kind of joke. He didn't. "What happened?" He looked toward the kitchen instead of at me. "They said I was harassing someone." My stomach tightened. Aaron had worked at the company for 4 years. He complained about management sometimes, but he had never been formally disciplined. As far as I knew, he had never even received a written warning. "Who did they say you harassed?" "A junior employee named Stella." I had never heard that name before. Aaron talked about work constantly. I knew which manager scheduled pointless meetings. I knew which coworker took credit for other people's ideas. I knew who had recently been promoted and who was always late. But Stella's name was completely new to me. "What did they say you did?" He rubbed a hand across his face. "They accused me of sending her some emails." "What kind of emails?" "Complaints about her work." "From your company account?" "No." That answer made the situation feel worse. "What account did you use?" He didn't respond. "Aaron, were they anonymous?" "They traced them to me." I closed my laptop. "Why were you anonymously emailing a coworker?" "Because she's terrible at her job." He said it as though that explained everything. Aaron had criticized coworkers before, but he normally complained to their supervisors or argued with them directly. He didn't hide behind fake accounts. "If she was making mistakes, why didn't you report her through the proper channels?" "I did." "Nobody cared." "Did they warn you before firing you?" "No." "They fired you immediately?" They had already made their decision. His voice was bitter, but something about his reaction felt wrong. If Aaron had been falsely accused, I expected anger. I expected him to call a lawyer, demand evidence, or ask me to help him prove that the company was wrong. Instead, he walked into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. I followed him. "Were human resources involved?" "Yes." "Did they show you the emails?" "Yes." "Did you write them?" He stared into the refrigerator without taking anything out. "They came from accounts connected to me." "That isn't what I asked." He closed the door. "I don't want to do this right now." "What exactly did the company say?" "That they had enough evidence." "Were lawyers there?" He hesitated. "Yes." "The company's lawyers?" "Yes." A cold feeling spread through my stomach. "What did they tell you?" Aaron leaned against the counter and crossed his arms. "They said Stella could have made a police report, but she chose not to." I stopped breathing for a second. "For emails." "There was something with her car." "What does that mean?" "It means there was something with her car." "What happened to it?" "I don't know." "You just said there was something." "That's what they told me." He tried to walk past me, but I stepped in front of him. "Were you escorted out?" "Yes." "Did they let you collect your belongings?" "No." "Security is arranging a time for me to pick them up after hours." That was when I knew this was not a workplace disagreement that had been blown out of proportion. The company had attorneys in the room. Aaron had been escorted from the building. He wasn't allowed to return during regular hours, and a coworker had apparently considered involving the police. Yet he still refused to explain what he had done. "Aaron, you need to tell me everything." "I told you what happened." "You told me you were fired." "That's all that matters right now." "No, it isn't." His expression changed. Stella was sleeping with Gavin. The name seemed to come from nowhere. Gavin was another senior employee at the company. Aaron and I had met him several times at group dinners and work events. He was younger than Aaron, divorced, and generally friendly. "What does Gavin have to do with the emails?" "Nothing." "Then why are you mentioning him?" "Because it shows what kind of person she is." "What kind of person is she?" Aaron looked at me as if the answer should have been obvious. "She knew who could help her career." "Was Gavin her manager?" "No." "Did he control her performance reviews?" "No." "Was he involved in the complaint against you?" "No." "Then his relationship with Stella has nothing to do with what you did." Aaron's jaw tightened. "You weren't there." "Then tell me what happened." He walked around me and headed upstairs. "I'm done talking about this." A few minutes later, I heard his computer turn on. That became the pattern for the entire weekend. Aaron stayed upstairs with the curtains closed. He played video games for hours, slept at strange times, and barely ate. Whenever I tried to talk to him, he said he was exhausted or accused me of already believing the worst. The truth was that I still wanted an explanation. Maybe the messages had been harsh but not threatening. Maybe he had reported something anonymously because he feared retaliation. Maybe the company had connected unrelated incidents and treated them as one serious case. But every explanation I invented collapsed under the same question. Why wouldn't Aaron tell me? He didn't say the accusations were false. He didn't say the company had confused him with someone else. He only complained that the company had treated him unfairly. On Saturday evening, I asked whether he wanted to speak to an employment attorney. No. Why not? Because the company was allowed to fire me. Then you agree that the evidence is real? I'm saying the firing is legal. That still doesn't tell me what happened. He turned his attention back to his game. By Sunday night, I was searching the internet for workplace harassment policies and criminal intimidation laws. Every result made my imagination worse. I couldn't stop thinking about Stella's car. Had Aaron damaged it? Had he left a note? Had he followed her? When I asked him again, he refused to answer. Early Monday morning, I woke to loud combat sounds coming from his computer. It was around 5:30. Aaron was still sitting in the same chair, wearing the shirt he had worn the night before. I stood in the doorway. We are not spending another day like this. He didn't respond. I crossed the room and switched off the monitor. Aaron pulled off his headphones. What are you doing? I need the truth. I'm tired. You've been playing games all night. So this affects both of us. We lost your income. If attorneys or police become involved, it affects our finances and our entire life. He looked away. If you can't say it out loud, write it down, I continued. Send me an email explaining everything from your side. But shutting me out is no longer acceptable. His eyes were bloodshot. The paperwork is in my car. What paperwork? The investigation. The termination documents. Copies of the evidence. You've had them since Friday? Yes. Why didn't you tell me? He laughed quietly. Because you're going to believe what you want anyway. I haven't been given enough information to believe anything. You want the paperwork? Go get it. No. You're coming with me. He stared at me for several seconds before standing. We walked outside without speaking. The sky was beginning to brighten, but most of the houses around us were still dark. Aaron opened the passenger door of his car and removed a thick envelope from the glove compartment. He pushed it into my hands. There. Then he walked around to the driver's side. What are you doing? Leaving. Where are you going? He got into the car. Aaron, don't drive away while we're in the middle of this. You wanted the truth. It's in your hands. He closed the door, backed out of the driveway, and left. I called him 7 times. Every call went to voicemail. For the next few hours, I had no idea where he was. My anger turned into panic. He had barely slept or eaten, and I didn't know what state of mind he was in. Just after 9, his mother, Fiona, sent me a message. Aaron is here. He says he needs to stay for a while. What happened? Relief came first. Then the fear returned. I told Fiona that Aaron had been fired and that I would call her later. Only then did I sit at the dining table and open the envelope. The first page was a formal termination notice. The second was a summary of the company's investigation. Behind it were printed emails, login records, screenshots, witness statements, and written responses from Aaron. The first anonymous email was short. It told Stella that everyone knew she was unqualified. It said she had only been hired because the company wanted another woman on the team and that she should quit before she embarrassed herself. I read it twice. The language sounded like Aaron. Not the Aaron I lived with, but the Aaron I had heard ranting after difficult days at work. There were more emails. Some accused Stella of taking credit for other people's work. Others said everyone laughed at her after meetings. One warned her that she would never be respected in the industry. None of them were romantic. They were designed to make her feel isolated and unwanted. The messages had been sent from several anonymous accounts over almost 3 months. Some were sent late at night. Others appeared shortly after Stella had spoken during team meetings. The company began tracing the messages after Stella reported that they were becoming more frequent. Investigators monitored activity connected to Aaron's work computer while gathering enough evidence to identify the person responsible. Several anonymous accounts had been accessed from Aaron's workstation. The report continued. Aaron had created fake customer profiles on the company's software platform. He used them to submit negative reviews about features Stella had worked on. The reviews claimed she was careless and that her work was damaging the company's reputation. None of the customers existed. All of the accounts had been created by Aaron. He had also sent an anonymous email to Stella's supervisor accusing her of having an improper relationship with Gavin. The company investigated that allegation too. Stella and Gavin had already disclosed that they were dating. Gavin worked on a different project. He did not supervise Stella and had no authority over her salary, reviews, or assignments. Aaron had been told there was no policy violation. He continued targeting her anyway. Then I reached the section about her car. After work one evening, Stella found a weapons catalog tucked beneath her windshield wiper. There was no written message inside it. There was no direct threat. But by then, she had received months of anonymous emails and social media messages telling her to quit and warning her that people at work were watching her. She reported the catalog to building security. Inside it was a subscription card that had been pre-filled by the company that mailed it. The card contained Aaron's name and our home address. I dropped the page onto the table. For a few seconds, I couldn't move. I pictured Stella finding it after weeks of anonymous messages. She would not have known whether the person responsible intended to stop at intimidation. She would not have known whether someone had followed her home. I forced myself to continue reading. Stella had also been harassed through several social media accounts. The company could only conclusively connect one of them to Aaron because he had logged into it from work. The messages used similar language and repeatedly told her to quit. The final section summarized Aaron's interview. He initially denied creating the accounts. When investigators showed him the login data, he admitted sending the emails, but claimed they were legitimate criticism. When asked about the fake customer profiles, he said he wanted to demonstrate weaknesses in the company's review system. When asked why he reported Stella and Gavin anonymously, he said management could not be trusted to handle the relationship fairly. When asked about the catalog, he called it a joke. At the bottom of the termination notice was Aaron's signature. It did not say that he agreed with every allegation. It confirmed that he had received the report and understood that his employment was over. But his signature didn't matter. The emails were there. The account records were there. The subscription card had his name on it. I sat at the table until I noticed tears falling onto the pages. What frightened me most was how deliberate it had been. This wasn't one angry message sent during an argument. Aaron had created accounts, written messages at carefully chosen times, and built fake customer profiles. It had gone on for months. I started remembering comments I had dismissed over the years. Aaron once claimed a woman at work had been promoted because management wanted to appear progressive. At a conference, he mocked a female speaker for trying too hard to sound confident. When I challenged him, he usually said I was taking his words too seriously. Each comment had seemed small enough to ignore. Now they no longer felt separate. Fiona called around noon. "What is going on?" she asked. "Aaron won't tell us anything. He was fired for harassing a coworker. He said there was a misunderstanding." There wasn't. "Did you see evidence?" "I'm looking at it." Fiona lowered her voice. "Is it something the company can fix?" "No." "He's devastated." "So am I. He needs you right now." I looked at the page about the catalog. There is a woman who spent months receiving anonymous messages. Then she found something threatening on her car. She needed support too. Fiona went silent. I ended the call before the conversation became an argument. That afternoon, I changed the passwords to my email, banking, and personal accounts. I moved our passports and financial documents into a locked drawer in my office. Aaron had never threatened me. But before that morning, I would have said he was incapable of terrorizing a coworker too. The next evening, Aaron returned. He walked through the front door and stopped when he saw the investigation packet on the coffee table. "I guess you read it." "Yes." He removed his coat. "Are you going to let me explain now?" "I've been asking you to explain since Friday." He sat in the chair across from me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said, "Stella should never have been hired." I stared at him. "That's your explanation?" She couldn't handle the work. Her performance reviews were positive. Because people protected her. Who? Gavin. Management. Anyone afraid of being accused of treating her unfairly. Gavin wasn't her supervisor. He still had influence. Do you have proof? He looked away. I reported problems through the proper channels first, he said. And when management disagreed, you created anonymous accounts. They ignored me. So you decided to frighten her until she quit? I didn't frighten her. I picked up one of the emails. You told her everyone hated her. You told her people laughed at her. You contacted her through fake accounts for months. I was trying to make her understand that she wasn't suited for the job. That wasn't your decision to make. She was hurting the team. Then why create fake customer reviews? The problems in those reviews were real. Why did the customers have to be fake? He didn't answer. I held up the page about the catalog. Why did you put this on her car? It wasn't a threat. What was it? A joke. What part was funny? He rubbed the back of his neck. I wasn't thinking. You had been contacting her anonymously for months. Then you placed that on her windshield. What reaction did you expect? I didn't think she would take it so seriously. What did you want her to feel? He looked toward the window. Erin. Uncomfortable. The word was barely audible. Why? So she would consider leaving. The calmness of his answer frightened me more than shouting would have. He knew exactly what he had wanted. How did this start? I asked. I told you. She was bad at her job. There were other people you thought were bad at their jobs. You never did this to them. She was different. How? She was arrogant. What did she do to you? Nothing. Then why her? Erin stood and began pacing. I tried to help her when she joined the team. I gave her advice, and she acted like she already knew everything. Did she ask for your advice? She was new. That isn't what I asked. She said she preferred to work through her assigned supervisor. That sounds reasonable. It was dismissive. No. It was a professional boundary. You didn't hear how she said it. What happened after that? He stopped pacing. Nothing. Did you invite her somewhere outside work? His expression shifted. Erin sat down again. I asked her to have a drink so we could clear the air. Did she say no? She said she wanted to keep things professional. And later you saw her with Gavin. His jaw tightened. That proved her excuse was a lie. No. It proved she didn't want to have a drink with you. I wasn't asking her on a date. I didn't say you were. You're making it sound like I wanted something from her. You wanted her attention. You wanted her to accept your guidance. When she didn't, you decided she was arrogant. She accepted Gavin's help. She was dating him. Exactly. No. Gavin wasn't supervising her. Their relationship had nothing to do with you. Erin's voice rose. She used people. You don't know that. I watched it happen. You watched a woman reject your help and date someone else. Then you spent months trying to damage her confidence and career. That isn't what happened. Did the anonymous messages begin after she refused to have a drink with you? Erin froze. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. I was angry, he finally said. You stayed angry for 3 months. I felt humiliated. So you decided to humiliate her. I lost control. No. Losing control happens in a moment. You created several accounts. You waited until after meetings to send messages. You wrote fake reviews. You walked across a parking lot and put that catalog on her car. He lowered his head. I wasn't going to hurt her. How could Stella have known that? Silence. She didn't know who was sending the messages, I continued. She didn't know whether that person was sitting near her at work or following her home. You knew what you intended. She didn't. I said it was a mistake. It was a series of decisions. He looked at me with anger and disbelief. You're my wife. Yes. You're supposed to be on my side. I was on the side of the person I thought you were. The anger left his face. So 10 years mean nothing now? They mean a lot. That's why this hurts. I made a mistake. You targeted someone for months. I lost my job. I've already been punished. That sentence made the truth clear. Erin did not believe Stella's fear mattered on its own. He only cared about what her fear had cost him. No, I said. Losing your job doesn't erase what you did. What do you want from me? I want you to admit that this wasn't Stella's fault. She wasn't completely innocent. She didn't create those accounts. She manipulated people. She rejected your attention. It wasn't about rejection. Then stop bringing up Gavin. He stared at me. I need you to see a therapist, I said. I don't need therapy. You deliberately tried to make someone afraid. Stop saying that. You admitted that you wanted her uncomfortable enough to leave. That doesn't mean I'm dangerous. I don't know what it means yet. He stood so quickly that the chair struck the wall. I flinched. Aaron immediately stepped back. I didn't touch you. I know. I would never hurt you. A week ago, I would have said you would never do any of this. His face went blank. I need you to stay with your parents, I said. For how long? Until I decide what I'm doing. You're throwing me out of my own house? I'm asking for space because I can't think clearly while you're here. I haven't threatened you. This isn't only about whether you would hurt me. He stared at the floor. Then his voice softened. Please don't do this. It was the first time he sounded afraid. We can fix this, he said. I'll find another job. Nobody outside the company needs to know. This is not about protecting your career. Please. He moved closer, but I stepped back. You know me, he said. You know I'm not the person those papers make me sound like. The person in those papers used your accounts, your computer, and your name. I was angry. I wasn't myself. You were yourself every time you logged into another account. His eyes filled with tears. Don't end our marriage over this. I haven't made that decision tonight. Then let me stay. No. Aaron packed enough clothes for several days and returned to his parents' house. After he left, I sat on the bedroom floor and cried. I remembered the life we had built together and the times he had been kind when I needed him. Those memories were real. So were the emails. The hardest part was accepting that his kindness toward me did not cancel his cruelty toward someone else. The next morning, I contacted a family attorney. I did not immediately file for divorce. I wanted to understand my legal and financial position before making a permanent decision. The attorney advised me to document our accounts, secure copies of important records, and avoid contacting Stella. I had considered writing to her. I wanted to tell her that I believed her. I wanted to apologize for what my husband had done. But an apology from me might have felt like another intrusion. Stella had already spent months wondering who was watching her. She did not need Aaron's wife entering her life too. I left her alone. Aaron called every day. At first, he focused on returning home. Then he started talking about finding an employment attorney. You said the company was legally allowed to fire you, I reminded him. They exaggerated the situation. Are you going to deny sending the emails? No. Are you going to deny creating the fake reviews? No, but they made everything sound worse than it was. What about the catalog? It was stupid. Was it threatening? He sighed. We've already discussed this. I ended the call. A few days later, Fiona came to the house carrying a container of food. Aaron barely comes out of the guest room, she said. I'm sorry. He isn't sleeping. Neither was I. He needs his wife. He needs professional help. He says the company twisted everything. I handed her a copy of the investigation summary. Read this. Fiona hesitated. I don't want to be caught between you. You already are. He is staying in your house because of what happened. She took the papers. The following morning, Aaron called me. You showed my parents? I showed your mother the evidence. You had no right. This affects our marriage, our finances, and both families. My father says I can't stay there unless I go to therapy. Then go. You've all decided I'm some kind of threat. You wanted Stella to feel threatened. I said uncomfortable. She had no way to know the difference. He fell silent. Aaron judged himself by what he claimed he would never have done. Stella had to judge him by what he had already done. About 3 weeks after his firing, Aaron attended his first therapy appointment. Fiona told me before he did. When Aaron called later, he sounded almost proud. I went. I'm glad. Does that mean I can come home? No. What else do you want? I want you to understand why you did this. I told you. I lost control. You keep using that phrase to avoid admitting that you made decisions over several months. I'm trying. One appointment is a beginning. It doesn't fix everything. He became quiet. I miss you, he said. I miss the person I believed you were. That's unfair. It's honest. The weeks passed. We communicated mostly through email about bills and household expenses. Aaron continued therapy, but his attitude towards Stella barely changed. He blamed her for reporting him. He blamed Gavin for cooperating with the investigation. He blamed management for gathering evidence instead of warning him sooner. Whenever he came close to accepting responsibility, he found someone else to blame. One evening, he called after a potential job offer disappeared following a reference and employment history check. Stella ruined my career, he said. No, your actions did. If she had talked to me directly, none of this would have happened. She didn't know it was you. She could have asked management to handle it quietly. She was being anonymously harassed. She had every right to report it. You always defend her. I'm defending the truth. You don't even know her. I don't need to know her to understand that what you did was wrong. He was silent for a moment. Then he said, "You care more about her than your own husband." That was when I knew he still treated accountability as though I were choosing Stella over him. A few days later, I filed for divorce. When I told Aaron, he came to the house with his father, Marcus, to collect the rest of his belongings. Marcus stayed downstairs while Aaron packed. I stood in the bedroom doorway. "You're really doing this," Aaron said. "Yes." "After 10 years? This didn't happen because I forgot our marriage. You said you needed time. I took time. I'm in therapy. You're still blaming Stella. I'm working through it. I hope you continue. Then let me come home." "No." He dropped a folded shirt into a box. "I love you." "I know." "Then why are you doing this?" "Because loving someone doesn't make it safe to ignore what they have done. I would never treat you that way. That isn't enough." He looked at me as if I had said something cruel. "It should matter that I never hurt you. It matters. But it doesn't erase what you did to someone else." His eyes filled with tears. "Please," he said, "don't throw everything away." For a moment, I wanted to cross the room and hold him. I remembered 10 years of shared routines, quiet mornings, and ordinary plans for the future. Then I remembered Stella walking alone into a parking lot and finding that catalog on her car. I stayed where I was. "You lost your job because of what you did," I said. "You lost my trust when you refused to admit what it meant. I can earn it back. Not while you still believe you're the main victim." Aaron shook his head. "You'll regret this." "Maybe. You're throwing away our whole life." "No. You made choices that changed it." He lifted the box. I looked directly at him. "You wanted Stella to lose her confidence, her career, and her sense of safety. Instead, you lost your position, your reputation, and now your marriage." His face tightened. Then I said the words I had been holding back since I opened the investigation packet. "You lost me too." Aaron carried the box downstairs. Marcus looked at me before they left. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. Aaron heard him but didn't respond. The divorce was not dramatic. There was no explosive courtroom confrontation. We divided our finances, sold the house, and spoke through attorneys when direct conversations became too painful. I moved into a smaller apartment. For the first few weeks, every unexpected sound in the hallway made me tense. I checked the lock before bed and kept the investigation papers in the back of a closet. Eventually, the apartment started to feel like home. I bought furniture without wondering whether Aaron would approve. I filled the kitchen with things he had always called unnecessary. I started exercising in the mornings again. My life became quieter. Through someone who still worked at Aaron's former company, I heard that Stella had taken several weeks away before transferring to another team. Later, she moved to a different company. I was eventually told that she had been promoted. I never contacted her, so I cannot confirm every detail. I only hoped she had found a workplace where she could do her job without wondering who was hiding behind the next anonymous account. Almost a year after Aaron was fired, I received a letter from him. It was handwritten. He said therapy had forced him to admit that his anger towards Stella had been about control and humiliation. He wrote that he had treated her boundaries as an attack on him. He admitted that she had not destroyed his career. He had. For the first time, he described the catalog as threatening. He said it did not matter that he claimed he never intended to hurt her. He had wanted her to be afraid, and that was enough. Aaron wrote that he was ashamed. Then he asked whether I would meet him for coffee. I read the letter several times. Part of me felt relieved. I had spent months wondering whether he would ever understand what he had done. But understanding it later did not require me to return. I placed the letter in a drawer and never replied. I later heard that Aaron had found contract work elsewhere and continued therapy. I hope he changed. But forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. Sometimes someone becomes better after losing access to the person who kept excusing them. Leaving Aaron wasn't revenge. I didn't try to destroy his future or expose him publicly. I simply stopped protecting him from the consequences of his own choices. He wanted Stella to leave because she refused the role he believed he deserved in her life. Instead, she continued forward. And I left him behind. Was I wrong to end a 10-year relationship without waiting longer to see whether Aaron could truly change, or were 3 months of deliberate harassment already enough?